Definitely. Networking's a bit different now than it would have been. But yeah, we've only just started up this year. So for us, networking was still something we were learning. So it wasn't as hard to change the way we did it. We talk to a lot of people online anyway. So jumping on Teams with someone like yourself to talk about an idea is, it's something we're accustomed to anyway. But yeah, for sure, networking is something we've realized is more and more important. We've began networking with our sort of surrounding businesses at Varsity Lakes, and we've learned a lot from just doing that. There's people you meet who offer you not just advice, but you actually learn valuable lessons from. With business, you can never know everything, and especially being young out of university and not from a business degree, there's plenty you can pick up. So learning those sort of small things that people have learned along their way can stop you from making mistakes that maybe they've made. So when you come to a similar problem, your approach might be different because of that, or you can call on them for advice. And having that little network of people around us we can reach out to is hugely important for us, especially again for computer scientists. There's a lot of other things that we can learn from people we network with.
I think the strongest form of network is actually, I use LinkedIn. I use social media, regardless. I'm not a real fan of Facebook, but it has a purpose and it serves a purpose. And that's what you need. You need tools that work. Facebook works, Instagram works, Twitter works. LinkedIn is a more professional version of all of those, and it works. Apart from that, it's keeping in touch with groups that have similar views to you, similar ideas, or work in the same field as you do. Keep abreast of current technologies, the things that are particularly involved in my industry. There are things out there. I'm going to have to be the world's best entrepreneur and get the money to buy some of this equipment to use in my industry because it is just so fantastic, But you network with them. I send out an email to when I was getting involved in 3D printing. I join up with the 3D online forums and things like that. And the contacts I got, they send me information. Some of the information I haven't got to use yet, but it's there. It forms a library or database. Yeah, so that's currently before you get out and talk. But don't be afraid to talk about your particular idea or your particular product when somebody's talking about theirs. Listen, then they listen.
I mean, if you're into the big corporate events and big cocktail events, that's your thing. But I think for essentially, to be a good networker, you have to really like people and be good to people. And I guess there's two things to it. Offer someone something and, hopefully in return they'll offer something to you. It's about just understanding who people are. And you have to remember that even though we're in this big corporate world with networking, these partners and directors have got kids, they've got families, they enjoy tennis or water sports or whatever. So it's being able to connect with them actually on a human level instead of that corporate level. And you'd be surprised as to how effective that is in the real world. Because by the time of the end of the networking, they're going to want to be hanging out with you on the weekend.
So networking is interesting. You can waste a lot of time on networking. Now, the caveat here is that networking is key. To get to know people, to build relationships, that's what business is all about. But I'll take you back a bit. When I started my first business way back in the day, I thought I knew everything. As an engineer, of course you do. But I didn't. So getting into networking back then was to get that comfortable feeling of I can stand up, I can talk about my business, and I can build relationships. So I think in the early days of business, any networking is great because you get a chance to you force yourself to tell people in a very short period of time what you do and what's the value you provide, right? And that's a very good skill to have as a business owner. As the business mature more and more, I guess you start to shift more about strategic relationships. So in our case, currently, it's alliances with universities, it's alliances with industry partners, leading research bodies around the world. So if you're going to do that, you got to spend your time wisely. I think there's a lot of time you can waste on drinking a lot of coffee and talking a lot, which has some benefits, but in the end, it has to be there to build those leads and relationships that builds your business in the end. So I think that was a very long answer to a very short question, but I think in essence, networking is key. Building relationships is key. And you could pick up a book and read about it, but the fastest way to get that going is to do it.
We try and meet them all over the place. So there's people who maybe we knew from uni or school that are sort of doing something locally. We want to reach out and sort of see what they're up to, just catch up. People who come through our co-working space we're in, we'd always love to have a chat and see what it is they're working on, what it is that they're all about, what their study background is. And people at other local co-working spaces as well in Varsity Lakes, there are a couple, and more so a few months ago, they would do more events. But that's sort of starting to become a bit more of a thing now, just on a small scale. We also just love to chat with the other local businesses, so just local restaurateurs, other office people just from around on the same block as us, and see what they're doing. And the Varsity Lakes community, I think, is fairly connected. A lot of people know each other, and it's really good because you meet a lot of people with a lot of expertise in areas that you're not familiar with. And being a bunch of people from a computer science background, it's really cool to sort of be able to talk to people who might have a very different perspective from yourself. Yeah.
Mostly with me, most of the people I meet are at exhibitions, conferences, seminars, places like that, because it's being an artisan jeweler, you're looking at exhibitions is where you sell. You also meet other jewelers and other people that have been in that industry for a lot longer than you have, and they're a wealth of knowledge. Never disregard somebody whose products might not be selling, because it's not the product that you want, it's the knowledge that they have. And the more knowledge you gain, the more ammo you've got to take your business to wherever you want to take it.